With this tutorial we're going to deal with the resizing or resampling of photographic images to get them to a web size, and in doing that we want to try and give the most sharpness. We don't want it not being sharp enough, and we don't want pixelated images either. So I'm just going to open up I'm going to use Photoshop. I have CS4, but it really doesn't matter which version, or if you have other editing softwares, imaging editing softwares either, for the most part. I'm going to open up my file here. And what I'm going to do for demonstration purposes is I'm just going to duplicate that, because I'm going to show two different methods. So when I go to the first one here, what I'm going to do is, this will work if you have Photoshop CS. I'm not sure how far back. I know 2 has it anyway, but what we're going to do is just simply go to image size under the image in the menu, and we see that the height of this is 2531 pixels, and we want it to be 650 pixels in height for a web image, let's say. And down at the bottom we check off all three of the resample, image, constrain proportions, and scale styles. Now what I'm going to use for this, if you have Photoshop CS 2 to 4 or 5 anyway, the normal resampling is bicubic, but we're going to use bicubic sharper, and that adds a little bit of sharpness to it. If you just use bicubic, you'll find the images when they're resampled are probably too dull, and you'll have to sharpen them separately. Hit OK. We'll go up to the full size there, and that makes a nice quality resampled image to 650 pixels. Now the second method, which is the one that I generally use, it gives extra sharpness and a really nice look to me for my web images and images that I post on forums. I'll go to the duplicate image here, go up to full size, and with this one I'm just going to use the straight bicubic with a couple other steps, but basically this will be a 3-step process, and so it works on the premise of going down half and half each time, adding some sharpening to it. What I tend to do is I kind of work up, so I know I want a 650 pixel image final in the longest dimension. I'll double up, so that would be 1300 pixels, and then I double up again would be 2600. So it depends what the original file size is. So if it was a 5000 or 4500 pixel image to start with, I might make those 4 steps. This one, the image size is 2500 pixels, so I want 650 pixel finish size. My next step I want to be 1300 pixels, which is double the 650. So I'll put 1300 in there, and this time I'm leaving the checks all the same, but I don't want sharper. I want bicubic, straight bicubic. So this process will work with other image editing softwares that provide the normal bicubic resampling. And we hit OK, and it goes down to that size. The next step is to add an unsharp mask, filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. And with this setting, I'm using, in general, 100% amount, 0.5 radius, and a 0 threshold. I click OK. The little trick that I've used is to use just the smallest amount of Gaussian blur after that sharpening. So we go in filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and it's a 0.2, very small amount, imperceptible amount. Just takes the edge off. So now my next step is to go back up into image size, and we're going to take this down to 650 pixels, the final dimension, and I'm again going to set the regular bicubic and go down. We add the sharpening again, unsharp mask of the same 100, 0.5, and 0. and then just to reduce the overall size a little bit, maybe just by a few kilobytes, this Gaussian blur does that without affecting the image. We can see when I click on it in the preview there's virtually no difference. And that's the end of that step. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this first one, select it. This is just for demonstration purposes, for comparing. Copy it and paste it on the left side here. And then I'm going to come back and do the same with the one that had the 3 steps to it. Be very hard to see the difference, but so the one-step one might suit most people's purposes. The other one with the multi steps and the sharpening in between really gives a really nice sharp, and yet it hasn't over sharpened any of the hair or the edges where it looks too glowy, and there's virtually no, or there is no pixelation at all in it. Now if we go back and for saving the file, there is a little bit of a difference. Both of these will save to a nice low file size that'll be suitable for web pages. This one is the first one that we did just with the sharper in the one step, bicubic sharper. So if I save that for web and device under file, which is the way that we always do it to get the smallest size, and I generally use a quality of 60 in the JPEG, and we see here that down at the bottom that the file size is 47.22K, so that's a very nice size for an image that size. Now if we go to the other one that had the multiple steps involved, it is a sharper image, so it's obviously going to be a little tad bigger in file size, but not too much. Again, at the 60 JPEG quality, it's 50.57K, so it's still totally acceptable, a few K difference. And my preference, of course, would be going this way with the extra sharpening. So what I've actually done, and it's a good thing to do, is when you're doing those steps of resizing down, is to record an action, and that way you can use one step. So that's how I do most of mine. In my action set I have a web resize to 600 pixels, which is the size I use, and it does the multiple steps including sharpening and the Gaussian blur. So I'll just go back here to the original image and show how nice it is when you have an action set made. This is a vertical image, so I'm going to hit that and goes through all the steps, and there we are. It's all done. So definitely recommended going that way. And then also I have a name at the bottom which calculates the right side, and when I hit that, that gives me my completed web image. And then save for web and devices, save it to the desktop. Well, I'm saving it to my forum pic, so I'll just stick it in there and then I can use it. So that's some basic steps for getting to the sizes that you want for the web and maintaining good quality.